Today is exactly 1 week after Burhan Wani was killed in that encounter in South Kashmir, and the valley continues to be in the grip of intense crisis. On Friday, now the authorities have imposed very strict restrictions and curfew on the movement of people. As you can see, deployment of the security forces has been increased. Both police, paramilitary forces have been deployed.
Curfew remains in full force in all 10 districts of the Kashmir Valley during the Friday prayers. The situation was tense with sporadic protests reported during the day. Normal life remains disrupted for the 8th day in a row. But the massive security blanket largely kept troublemongers at bay.
CRPF convoy, which is now travelling through downtown, and India Today is the only channel that has access to this convoy. We are now walking down these streets of downtown Srinagar. Forces have been deployed in this area. There are people who have assembled in some corners here. Additional troops deployed, whether it's the CRPF or the Jammu and Kashmir police. 2 additional army battalions have been deployed at the line of control because there is apprehension that terrorists like Hafiz Mohammed Saeed, the Lashkar-e-Taiba, they could try and take advantage of this situation.
Restrictions have been imposed just to avoid movement and configuration, so that if the crowd is there, then unruly move can be mobilized. Just to avoid that, restrictions have been imposed. Our deployments are there. Boys are already alert, and we are maintaining the full restraint.
Authorities suspended all mobile networks barring the post-paid numbers with BSNL to prevent rumour-mongering. Internet services remain suspended, and separatist leaders who extended their strike call have been kept under house arrest.
The historic Jamia Mosque of Srinagar, not the oldest but the biggest mosque in Srinagar. But at this point of time, in this downtown Srinagar area, there is curfew. Friday prayers will not be offered at this mosque. The only vehicles that are allowed to move at this point of time are ambulances like this one, so that emergency services are not affected. At this point of time, massive deployment of the Central Reserve Police Force. If we just turn around, CRPF and Jammu and Kashmir Police deployed in all this area.
Authorities suspect Pakistan-based terror groups and their proxies are trying to exploit large gatherings during prayer congregations. With Gaurav Sawant, your report, India Today.
As the valley simmers, Pakistan continues to stoke the fire. In yet another attempt to internationalize the issue, Pakistan called for an independent UN probe into the killing of Hizbul Mujahideen commander Burhan Wani. Apart from that, asking all its envoys to launch an anti-India tirade across various countries. In yet another provocation, Pakistan has called for a joint session of parliament and for observing Black Day on Tuesday with regards to Kashmir.
It is Pakistan's most dangerous plan to hit India. It is Pakistan's Mission Kashmir. With Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif announcing to observe 19 July as a Black Day in solidarity with Kashmiris at the special cabinet meeting called On Kashmir on Friday. It is Pakistan's biggest anti-India ambush, and it is using every weapon in its arsenal to strike. The Pakistani cabinet has directed its envoys stationed across the globe to target India on the Kashmir issue. First provoking unrest in the valley and then needling India on Kashmir and the killing of valley's most wanted Hizbul Mujahideen commander at global platforms.
पहले भी स्पष्ट किया जा चुका है विदेश मंत्रालय की ओर से भी और सरकार के प्रवक्ताओं की ओर से भी कि भारत अपने आंतरिक मामलों में किसी प्रकार के हस्तक्षेप के पक्ष में नहीं है, भले ही वो पाकिस्तान की ओर से हो या दूसरे किसी देश की ओर।
It is for the first time in history of Pakistan that cabinet has called for a special joint session of parliament to discuss situation in Kashmir Valley. Meanwhile, notwithstanding India's sharp response, Pakistan's envoy to United Nations Maliha Lodi has called for a thorough probe into violence and also raised killing of Hizbul commander Burhan Wani.
Pakistan's blatant attempt to internationalize the very sensitive situation in Jammu and Kashmir needs to be condemned in the strongest terms possible.
पाकिस्तान चाहे कुछ कर ले, वो बेनकाब हो रहा है और वो अब एपी सेंटर बनता जा रहा है विश्व में आतंकवाद फैलाने के लिए।
काला दिवस मना करके यह फिर पाकिस्तान के जो शासक वह यह साबित करना चाहते हैं कि वह आतंकवाद के साथ है।
Led by Nawaz Sharif himself, Pakistan is escalating its dirty war on India. Desperate bids to rake up the Kashmir issue, playing the Kashmir card at the UN Security Council, building international pressure on India, even as intelligence reports pointed at ISI's role in stoking Kashmir fires. According to Indian intelligence reports, Pakistan has pumped over 100 crore rupees into the valley to stoke the fire of unrest in the valley, glorifying and propping up terrorists like Burhan Wani as their hero, using Wani as a weapon to flagellate India. But New Delhi won't tolerate Pakistan's anti-India rhetoric, as it butchers human rights in its own backyard in Balochistan and slams India at the world stage after actively waging a covert war in the valley. With Kaswar Klasra in Islamabad and Gaurav Sawant in Srinagar, Bureau Report, India Today.
Terror struck France as people were celebrating Bastille Day in the city of Nice. At least 84 people died as the attacker in a truck plowed into the crowd and drove on for 2 kilometers late yesterday evening. The attacker in the lorry zigzagged in order to hit maximum number of people. President Hollande has declared this as a terror attack, a terror strike, and has said that France, entire France, is on terror radar.
A destination thronged by thousands of tourists turned into a hub of terror. A night of celebration and revelry of France's National Day took a bloody turn. Thousands had gathered on the Promenade des Anglais to watch a beautiful fireworks display. And at 10:20 p.m, the streets of Nice turned into a bloodbath. A truck laden with guns and grenades went on a trail of terror for 2 kilometers, killing everyone in its path. The sounds of celebration replaced in a matter of minutes with screams for help.
The truck just plowed into us. It hit everyone. There's no security. The police arrived just 20 minutes later. Afterwards, we heard gunshots.
We went into a restaurant and the gates closed and we had to be silent and everybody lay on the floor and the gates were closed and police were walking around and we heard sirens on the background.
For 2 kilometers, the driver of this truck mowed down people, not even sparing little children. And he didn't stop till he was shot dead while seated inside the truck by the French police. France's National Day will now be remembered as not just a day of celebration, but a grim reminder of the terror shadow that looms over the country. Bureau Report, India Today.
The Nice attacker has been identified as Mohamed Boulel, a Tunisian-born French national. The 31-year-old was known to police, but only for petty crimes such as theft and violence. For French police, he did not have the profile of a terrorist. Boulel was shot dead after barreling a truck 2 kilometers through a festive crowd watching the fireworks display on the palm-lined Promenade des Anglais. A terrorist attack on Bastille Day, a day when the French celebrate.
Que nous devons tout faire pour que nous puissions lutter contre le fléau du terrorisme. Le conducteur a été abattu. Nous ignorons à cet instant aussi s'il avait des complices. Mais nous faisons en sorte que son identification, qui va être vérifiée, puisse nous mettre sur ces pistes éventuelles. La France a été frappée le jour de sa fête nationale, le 14 juillet, symbole de la liberté, parce que les droits de l'homme sont niés par les fanatiques et que la France est forcément leur cible.
France declared 3 days of national mourning following the Nice attack. The world expressed solidarity with France at this horrific time.
Today we all, Europe and Asia, stand united with the French people and their government. We condemn this tragedy and keep up our fight against extreme violence and hatred.
We should be ready to contribute to our common goal, a world that respects rights and freedoms, including the freedom of religion, but has zero tolerance to any form of violent extremism, terrorism and disrespect.
The attack is the third big terror strike against France in less than 18 months. Even as the country tries to recover from one, another brutal attack on innocents sends France reeling into chaos once again. Bureau Report, India Today.
Here I could see only the pure Islam and the pure Muslims. This was just one of the many messages from Hafisuddin to his wife, few days after he was reported missing, validates one of the country's worst fears, that he is in the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria. 23-year-old Hafisuddin is one among the 21 Muslim youths who went missing from Kasargod and Palakkad districts of Kerala after they told families they are leaving to study Quran or start a business. The youth are suspected to have taken the route to the Islamic State.
वो लोग को इधर ऐसा वो सराउंडिंग्स नहीं मिलता है वो लोग सोचा कोई ये सल्फी लोग है सल्फी लोग बहुत स्ट्रिक्ट होता है
Hafisuddin's neighbors Ijaz and Shiaz too messaged their families after they went missing. While Ijaz said they had reached the Islamic State, his brother Shiaz asked his family not to see them as terrorists.
Last, Ashfaq told his families we are not went to the any explosive activities. We are went to the only for study the Islamic studies.
At least 15 of the 21 people are relatives, friends or colleagues and are believed to have influenced one another. 66-year-old Abdul Rahman is yet to come to terms with the last message he received on the Telegram app from his son Ijaz that they had reached Islamic State. 8 members from his family, including 2 pregnant women and 2 children below the age of 2, are among the missing.
ये बोला हमको लक्षद्वीप दूसरा काम मिला है उधर जाते हैं करके बोला उसको औरत को भी लेके जाता है उसका वाइफ भी डेंटिस्ट है अभी कोई उन लोग को दूसरा कोई भी अपने को सोचने का नहीं कोई भी रास्ते में जाने वाला नहीं है वो लोग एकदम स्ट्रेट है
The friends of these youngsters, all below the age of 35, say the youths were one among them until they became extremely orthodox and stayed away from society about 3 years ago.
If these stories coming from Kasargod are any indication, the Islamic State has already influenced several young minds of Kerala. And if this does not ring alarm bells in the security apparatus, the socio-religious fabric of Kerala is under serious threat. With camera person Kumar, Revti Rajavan in Kasargod for India Today.
Surrounded by the allegations of inspiring terror strikes, Islamic preacher Zakir Naik today addressed the media via Skype from Medina. He rejected the claim that he has been glorifying terror, but claimed that he is proud Indian Muslim and believes in Indian constitution. Though he clarified that he has no plans to come back to India till next year. The televangelist also came up with a bizarre statement defending killings of innocent during the war. Meanwhile, the government has expanded the probe into the foreign funding for his controversial channel.
Man who allegedly played the terror evangelist choosing to duck and issue denial. Islamic preacher Zakir Naik chose to clarify. Naik, who's been evading Indian agencies, took to Skype to claim his innocence, describing himself as a peace messenger opposed to terror strikes, claiming he never glorified Osama bin Laden.
In all cases,
where innocent people are killed, like a person takes a bomb, goes in a marketplace, goes in a bus, goes in a train, all these are 100%, they are condemned, and all scholars throughout the world, they condemn that suicide bombing or suicide attack where innocent people are killed. It is 100% wrong.
But Zakir, accused of inspiring terror strikes in India and Bangladesh, did not have it easy. India Today chose to pose some tough questions to the televangelist.
Why do you think that if you think that you're not, your lectures are not supporting terrorism, your lectures are not supporting violence, then why is it that the Indian government has banned your Peace TV in India?
If you want to say, though technically it's not correct, that India has banned because it gives a list in the last couple of years, it gave a list of the country, of the channels which don't have downlinking permission, and they are very popular in India. Most of them were Pakistani channels and others mainly were Muslim channels.
Will you come back to India face the, right now the investigation is on by Mumbai police, ordered by the Maharashtra Chief Minister. Will you come back and face this particular inquiry?
Not a single Indian official government authority has approached them. If any official government investigating authority has any query, if they want to ask me any question, I'm most welcome. I will answer them.
But the preacher had no answer.
There were half statements, only one sentence is taken, some of the clips were doctored.
While the preacher slammed India and Bangladesh,
Zakir Naik's preachings and teachings and Peace TV's activities doesn't go in line with Quran, Sunnah and Hadith in certain cases.
the government meanwhile chose to tighten the noose, expanding the probe into foreign funding for Zakir Naik's NGO. Probe agencies suspect Naik transferred a big chunk of £8 million obtained in contribution to his Islamic Research Foundation to Peace TV. With inputs from Sahil Joshi, Bureau Report, India Today.
Patel Quota agitator Hardik Patel today walked out of jail after spending 9 months in prison. Immediately after his release, Hardik took a swipe at Prime Minister Narendra Modi by saying that he needs quota for Patels and not a 56-inch chest. As a sea of supporters welcomed Hardik Patel, he vowed to continue his agitation.
Hardik Patel, who has been languishing in jail for 9 months, was released this morning and was welcomed by a sea of supporters outside the Surat jail. The leader of the Patidar community got a rousing welcome.
At different points, Hardik Patel will be accorded a grand welcome by the Patel community as well as several political parties. As you can see in the visual, several Patidar leaders and party workers with Jai Patidar, Jai Sardar caps and posters of Hardik Patel chanting slogans of Hardik Hardik are giving a grand welcome to Hardik. This road show or the show of strength is going to be the prime focus.
Within minutes of his release, Hardik targeted the PM saying he does not want a 56-inch chest but rights for his community and vowing to continue his agitation for Patidar Quota.
पूरी तरीके से रणनीति अपने समाज के हित के लिए होगी, राज्य के निर्माण के लिए होगी और मैंने जितना ये 9 महीनों में राज्य की परिस्थिति को जांचा है उस पर मैं आगे आऊंगा और मुझे तो कुछ नहीं करना, इस राज्य का निर्माण करना।
Hardik also maintained that the discussion for quota with the state government was still on, and over the next 6 months, he and his supporters would continue to fight till the government relents. Hardik, as of now, is planning to hold road shows in Patidar pockets of the state to try and revive the quota agitation in the 48 hours that he can spend in Gujarat. Hardik will reignite the Patidar quota demand and could spell trouble for the state government again. He is also sure campaign against the BJP government in the state, and considering Kejriwal's support for Hardik, the Patel leader could just provide support to the AAP. But his quota demand will remain prominent, and we could possibly see him joining hand with other communities with a similar demand.
Hardik, 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 Hardik.
there's no doubt that the poster boy of the Patidar quota demand will create quite a dent in Gujarat politics. With Kamlesh Sutar, Bureau Report, India Today.
The Madras High Court today passed a crucial order to stop the screening of pirated versions of Kabali. Meanwhile, brand Kabali is growing bigger than ever, with leading corporates clamoring to align themselves alongside this upcoming Rajni star.
Yoga, politics and business. Ramdev is a perfect blend of all three. A heady cocktail which makes for a fascinating story. And India Today's current issue aims just to do that, covering the astronomical rise from yoga to Pitanjali. And Yoga Guru's image on the cover of India Today has become an internet rage.